Magandang hapon, Malacañang Press Corps. Welcome sa press conference ng National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict. Pinangunahan kanina ni Pangulong Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. ang 7th Executive Committee meeting ng NTF-ELCAC kung saan pinag-usapan ng update sa Executive Order 70 at panunumpa ng mga bagong CORDS at ExeCom members pati na rin ang mga aktibidad ng NTF-ELCAC. Para bigyan tayo ng detalye sa 7th ExeCom meeting, kasama natin ngayon sina Presidential Advisor NTF-ELCAC Executive Director Undersecretary Ernesto Torres Jr., National Security Council Assistant Director General Jonathan Malaya, National Amnesty Council Chairperson Attorney Lea Tanodra Armamento, at Armed Forces of the Philippines Vice Chief of Staff Lieutenant General Jimmy Larida. Good afternoon, ma'am, sir. Sir. Undersecretary Torres for an opening statement.
Magandang umaga sa ating lahat. Once again, thank you very much for having us here in this press conference. Thank you, Asik Dale, for the introduction. Tama yan, this morning we had the 7th Executive Committee meeting of the NTF-ELCAC. It was conducted in two parts. The first part is the preparatory meeting, which was presided by the Executive Secretary Bersamin, Lucas Bersamin, in order to discuss the agenda items so that there'll be there's already a consensus when the President arrives for the meeting proper. And then the President arrived at about 10:00 hours, and then the meeting presided. Very important things were tackled during those two events, such as business arising from the previous meeting that was conducted last year, November of 2024. And then we also showed an ABP of the NTF-ELCAC showing to the public what the task force has done for the past year. And then a briefing was conducted by the Director General of NICA on the CPP-NPA-NDF situation. And then I briefed the Executive Committee in those two occasions on updates, challenges, and recommendations. So I would be sharing with you in the course of this press conference what transpired during those meetings. But before that, I just would like to inform the body that the Executive Committee meeting was well attended. Out of the 36 regular members of the ExeCom, cabinet secretaries, 32 were present. So just a rundown of who were present in that meeting earlier. Of course, the President as the chairperson was there. The Vice Chair, Secretary Anyo, was also there, and the Executive Secretary, Lucas Bersamin. Also present are, if I may just mention to you, the departments secretaries, the department secretaries who were also around. We also have around the head of the PCO, Secretary JB Ruiz, then NEDA, Department of Health, Department of Trade and Industry, even the DOF was represented there, the DND, DTI, DOST, CHED, chairman was also there, DA, Department of Transportation. I'm mentioning this just for everybody to have a picture on how broad the participation was this morning and how complex the organization of the NTF-ELCAC is. So we also have a representative from the TESDA. The NCIP chair was also there, NICA head. Then of course from the Armed Forces of the Philippines, it was represented by the Vice Chief of Staff, Lieutenant General Jimmy Larida. Then the DNR was also represented by Yusek Augusto de la Peña. DPWH was represented. And of course, some other officials from the NICA, from OPAPRO. Secretary Galvez was in attendance. And then the OSG himself was there together with Assistant Solicitor General Angelita Miranda. Also present, of course, is the head of the Stratcom cluster of the NTF-ELCAC, Assistant Director General Jonathan Malaya of the National Security Council, and from the DA, represented by Secretary James Layug. Also present are commissioners from the National Amnesty Commission in the person of Attorney Jamar Colayan, and the newly designated Commissioner for Luzon of the National Amnesty Commission, Attorney Serme Ayuyao. And then the Department of Human Settlement and Urban Development was also represented by its secretary. So from that meeting, and with the attendance of these distinguished officials, honorable secretaries, which composes the NTF-ELCAC, and the heads of the national clusters, 12 different clusters of the NTF-ELCAC, we were able to discuss a lot of things this morning. And these items, we would be ready to share with you in the course of our press conference. Muli, Asik Dale, maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Sec. We're now opening the floor to questions to our panelists. Another statement from ADG Malaya.
Yes. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to the members of the media, the Malacañang Press Corps. In response to the calls of Gabriela Party List Congresswoman Arlene Brosas asking the President to abolish the NTF-ELCAC, I am sorry to relay the bad news to them that the President made it clear today that he will never abolish the NTF-ELCAC. The President, as chairman of the NTF-ELCAC himself, recognizes the success of the task force in decimating the terroristic activities of the CPP, NP, NTF. And if I may quote the President this morning, I'm encouraged by the reports. Our efforts are bearing fruit. We have to continue. It has been successful, and we need to continue to invest in its success. End of quote. So I don't think we will have a more clearer answer than that from the President. Let me put on the record that it was the NTF-ELCAC that dealt a heavy blow to the CPP, NP, NDF. That is why the NPA now is at its lowest point in its more than 50 years of reign of terror in the countryside. The facts speak for themselves, and later on, the Vice Chief of Staff may perhaps give a more comprehensive report. There is now only one remaining weekend guerrilla front in the province of Camarines Sur. Wala na pong ibang active guerrilla front, weekend na lang, at nasa Camarines Sur. Ang nakakalungkot, taga dun pa ako. And this remaining weekend guerrilla front will be dismantled within the year. At present, there are only 1,050 remaining NPA armed members scattered and isolated in some parts of the country. When NTF-ELCAC was organized, 89 po lahat yan. 89 guerrilla fronts. And now we are at one weekend guerrilla front. That is equivalent to a 98.88% accomplishment rate from the original target. And why has the CPP-NPA significantly declined? It is due to various reasons. One, its leadership losses. The death of Joma Sison, the neutralization of key Central Committee members like the Chamson, a couple, and just a few months ago, the death of Mirna Solarte of the Northeastern Mindanao Regional Committee. Focused military and police operations that has led to the dismantling of almost all guerrilla fronts, socio-economic investments through the Barangay Development Program, and of course, sustained localized peace engagements. The CPP-NP-NDF is also impeded in its recruitment efforts in schools and universities because of the anti-terror grooming and anti-radicalization program of the NTF-ELCAC. With the loss of their mass base, the CPP-NPA is no longer able to impose their revolutionary taxation, nor are they able to impose their permit to win or permit to campaign rules as in the past election. Hindi po ba? Habang lumalaki tayo, laging issue yan. Permit to campaign, permit to win, revolutionary tax. For this coming May elections, the CPP, NPA, NDF will no longer be a significant threat to the peaceful conduct of elections. Nonetheless, with the launch of the New People's Army of its third rectification movement, the CPP-NPA seeks to rebuild and reclaim its lost mass base. But their efforts are hindered by the NTF-ELCAC, focused military and police operations, legal and financial restrictions, socio-economic projects like the Barangay Development Program and our Amnesty Program, which I understand will be explained to us in detail by the National Amnesty Commission. This is the reason why Congressman Brosas and other leftist members of Congress are calling for the abolition of the NTF-ELCAC. The NTF-ELCAC is the instrument that will finally deal a death blow to communist insurgency in the country. Under President Bongbong Marcos, the NTF-ELCAC has been an instrument of peace and order, allowing the surrender in 2024 alone of 5,558 surrenderies. Ano po ang breakdown ng 5,558 na yan? Ang regular NPA dyan, 2,033. Militia ng Bayan, 732. Underground Mass Organizations, 856. SPL or Samahan sa Partido sa Lokal, 165. Mass Supporters, 1,772. Lahat po itong 5,000 ito, or 5,558, were provided e-clip assistance by the NTF-ELCAC. Therefore, we thank the President for his 100 support to the NTF-ELCAC, and we commit to his directive to continue our efforts to finally end communist armed conflict in this country within his term. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, ADG Malaya. Chairperson Armamento, would you want to add more?
The National Amnesty Commission, insofar as the CPP, NPA, NDF is concerned, we have a total of 1,577 applicants out of the 2,233 combatants. So, and we have a total of 2,481 applicants from the four groups that are given by the President the opportunity or covered by the proclamation to apply for amnesty.
Thank you, Chairperson Armamento. Lieutenant General Larida, would you want to give a short statement?
Yung success po ng ating NTF-ELCAC is a manifestation of the whole of government approach. And the armed forces of the Philippines is very proud to announce na yun nga, meron na po tayong isang weekend guerrilla front sa Southern Luzon area, and it's a matter of administrative procedure na lang po. Dumaan na ito sa national level, Joint Peace and Security Coordinating Council, at na-deliberate na po ito at considered dismantled. So administrative procedure na lang po ang inaantay natin. And with that, kung matapos yung procedure na yon, wala na po tayong guerrilla front na kino-confront. So that's the success of NTF-ELCAC. Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant General Larida. We're now opening the floors to MPC for questions. Raquel Bayan, Radyo Pilipinas.
To Sir Torres. Sir, bukod po dito sa mga binanggit niyo na kanina, ano pa po kaya yung ibang inilatag niyo kay Pangulo Marcos sa meeting kanina? Tsaka meron po bang particular na issue or topic si Pangulo Marcos na hininga ng update sa meeting kanina?
Thank you very much for that question. So among the things that were discussed earlier is the strengthening of the NTF-ELCAC. Kagaya nga ng binanggit ni ADG John kanina, it is very enlightening that the President made that commitment that the NTF-ELCAC campaign would be sustained in its peace and development efforts. So part of that strengthening of the organization is the approval of designation of the CORDS, or Cabinet Officer for Regional Development and Security. So for the information of everybody, the merging of the RDC or Regional Development Council and the Regional Peace and Order Council on matters pertaining to the resolution of the root causes of insurgency are being led by the courts in every region in our country. Since some of the regions were vacant, with the resignation, for instance, of Secretary Bautista Bautista of the CAR, siya yung dating courts ng CAR. So this morning, he was replaced by Secretary Arsenio Balisacan of NEDA as courts of CAR. Similarly, Secretary Vivencio Dizon is now designated as the courts of Region 4B, while for the newly established Negros Island region, the TESDA head, Secretary Jose Francisco Benitez, was also designated as its courts. Other than that, there were some designations also and adjustment in the organization of the NTF-ELCAC. One is the inclusion of TESDA as the co-lead of the PR-LEC clusters, cluster of the NTF-ELCAC. By the way, there are 12 different clusters under the organization of the NTF-ELCAC with 17 Joint Regional Task Forces ELCAC all over the country. So yung PR-LEC, Poverty Reduction and Livelihood Employment Cluster, which was led by the Department of Agriculture alone. So with the approval of the ExeCom and the President this morning of the TESDA to be the co-lead, ay dalawa na po sila mag-lead ng PR-LEC cluster. Also, OPAPRO was included as co-lead of the DILG and the DND in the ECLIP and Amnesty Program cluster. Likewise, of course, the National Amnesty Commission was also made a part of the EYAP cluster. Again, it's the ECLIP and Amnesty Program cluster, one of the 12 clusters of the NTF-ELCAC. And also, the Department of Migrant Workers was made a member in 5 different clusters, namely International Engagement Cluster, Basic Services Cluster, and then the SUCBEM Cluster or Sectoral Unification, Capacity Building, and Employment Cluster. Stratcom Cluster. So DMW will be now a part of the cluster headed by ADG Malaya. And the 5th cluster wherein DMW was made a member of is the PR-LEC cluster, Poverty Reduction and Livelihood Employment Cluster. So other items that were discussed, of course, are pertains to the sustainment of the Barangay Development Program and the NAP-UPD. NAP-UPD is the National Action Plan for Unity, Peace, and Development, which would serve as the roadmap of the NTF-ELCAC in the implementation of its programs, projects, and activities from 2025 to 2028. It was actually approved by the President in the 6th Executive Committee meeting last year, November 8 of 2024, and officially launched on December 6, 2024, which coincided with the 6th founding anniversary of the NTF-ELCAC. So we are just awaiting for the issuance of a memorandum circular that would direct all the agencies of the government and its partners to provide support in the implementation of the NAP-UPD 2025 to 2028. So details of the BDP program, siguro po ang aside from the funding support that we requested from the administration, one significant thing about the BDP program Just to contextualize, yung BDP program po natin, ang beneficiaries niyan are barangays that were formerly influenced by the CPP, NPA, NDF. Hindi po kasama yung mga barangays na dating na-impluensyahan ng local terrorist group, meaning yung mga Abu Sayyaf group, Dawla Islamiyah, pati BIFF. But this morning, it was recommended by the Executive Committee to the President for the inclusion of such barangays that were cleared by our security forces from the local terrorist group. And there are 280 of those. So it was the decision of the Executive Committee this morning to include those 280 barangays that were previously influenced by those local terrorist groups that I've mentioned, now cleared by them, and then pwede na pong ipasok sa BDP program. So, provinces and the ACT which have these barangays are Zamboanga City, Sulu, Lanao del Sur, Maguindanao del Sur, and what's the other one? And the last one is Basilan. So yung pong 5 lugar na yon ay pwede na mag-benefit starting with 2026, yung mga RCSP natin or Retooled Community Support Program, and then BDP starting 2027. Ang schedule ng implementation dun sa mga provinces and city na nabanggit ko, for Sulu, Lanao del Sur, and Zamboanga City to be the beneficiaries of the RCSP for 2026 and BDP 2027. Whereas for provinces of Basilan and Maguindanao del Sur to be beneficiaries of RCSP 2027 and BDP 2028. So for the regular BDP barangay development programs natin, we are happy to note from the President himself that he would sustain the implementation of the barangay development program because this is our commitment to those barangays that were formerly influenced by the CPP, NPA, and DF. So as we speak now, we are serving 4,830 barangays from 2021 to 2025. But then we still have to serve more than 3,000 barangays up to 2028. So schemes and funding efforts, funding on how to generate the necessary fund for the BDP in more than 3,000 barangays was discussed a while ago, and there is that commitment from the government to complete the implementation of the BDP barangays on or before the end of this term of this administration. So there are other things because there are a lot of items actually that were discussed this morning, but kasi yung tanong naman ni Ma'am kanina is about those lang yung BDP and how we strengthen the NTF-ELCAC. Maybe later on, some of the topics that were discussed, actually a lot of the topics discussed are related to the function of the National Amnesty Commission, and then special mga farm-to-market roads that yung funding ay na-approve din po kanina. I can discuss that in detail the next round na lang siguro. Maraming salamat po.
Pero sir, how much budget po kaya yung kakailanganin natin para sa inclusion ng 280 barangays by 2026?
I-rectify ko lang, you're referring to the LTG barangays, no? So for Sulu, Lanao del Sur, and Zamboanga City, yung RCSP lang muna. This is a multi-agency team that goes to the community that were cleared from any terrorist group, no? They determine the needs of that community. Then saka po papasok ang BDP after RCSP. Now, dun sa scheme na present natin kay Pangulo kanina, it would entail an addition of 73 million pesos per year starting 2026 for the RCSP. And then dun sa BDP barangay, ang ating program kasi is if that's 280 barangay, so yearly we've been proposing 10 million pesos per barangay eh. So if we will multiply the 280 barangays by 10 million, that will be 2.8 billion pesos for the 280 barangays. On the assumption that of course the recommendation to for the funding of 10 million per barangay would be approved, no? And related to that, because this year we were informed that the proposal for the BDP to be funded with 10 million per barangay, kasi for 2025 we have 780 barangays, no? Well, we were not able to, as we speak now, no, ang na-approve na funding doon ay 2.5 million instead of 10 million per barangay. But there is an instruction coming from the President to the DBM. DOF was also there this morning to find ways to recover a portion or the whole of this last amount for the implementation of BDP 2025. So there is that expressed commitment from this administration by our President to continue supporting the BDP program because, as he mentioned a while ago, this is our commitment to the Filipino people, especially in the geographically isolated and disadvantaged areas. So I hope I was able to sufficiently answer your question. Maraming salamat po.
Pia Gutierrez, ABS-CBN.
ADG Malaya, you were mentioning Gabriela a while ago. Just now, the Gabriela Women's Party filed a complaint in the COMELEC against the NTF-ELCAC. They're accusing the task force and other personalities of red tagging as well as gender-based sexual harassment during the election period, particularly yung supposed continuous, vicious, and systematic vilification campaign by the NTF-ELCAC, which they say are in violation of COMELEC Resolution 1116 or the anti-discrimination and anti-discrimination guidelines. No? So, sabi ni First Nominee Sara Ilago, when they red tag and harass the Gabriela Women's Party, they're attacking not only the party but also attempting to silence the collective voices of women in and out of Congress. Your comments, sir.
Thank you for the question. First and foremost, wala pong basihan yung mga paratang na yan sa NTF-ELCAC. Red tagging has never been the policy of the NTF-ELCAC. If any, it is the former rebels who are the ones red tagging them. No, we have many individuals who were part of the movement, of the communist movement, who have now joined mainstream society, and they are the ones exposing these individuals. No, those people that they were part that they know for a fact were part of the communist movement. So I think the Gabriela Women's Party list is barking up the wrong tree. They are, again, as expected, kaya nga sabi ko, assailing the integrity of the NTF-ELCAC because the NTF-ELCAC is the instrument to destroy the Communist Party of the Philippines New People's Army. Kaya pinag-iinitan kami. No? But we are very confident of what we have done. Kami sa NTF-ELCAC, we do not engage in red tagging. No? It is the former rebels who are the ones who are exposing and telling the truth about them. If you remember, there was this hearing in the Senate, called by Senator Bato de la Rosa, and former rebels spoke there under oath and pointed to many members of the leftist groups. No? So, ito pong itong mga paratang na ito is an effort on the part of the Gabriela Women's Party list to harass and intimidate the NTF-ELCAC. And as I said in my opening statement kanina, these efforts will not bear fruit because as the President himself said very clearly this morning, the fruits of the NTF-ELCAC are very clear to see. It's bearing fruit and government must sustain these efforts so that we can finally put an end to communist insurgency in the country.
Another question po kay Attorney Armamento. Ma'am, in a previous interview, you mentioned that you have requested the Office of the President to grant the NAC yung authority to issue safe conduct passes sa mga rebels who may want to apply for amnesty. Ano na po ang update dito?
Kanina po, this was also taken up kanina sa meeting, and it was directed by the President na i-fast track na ito kasi the complete staff work was already done. All members of the National Amnesty Commission who are ex officio, the Secretary of Justice, Secretary of Local Government, the Secretary of the National Defense, and the OPAPRU, Secretary Galvez, they all recommended for the grant of authority to the National Amnesty Commission to have authority to issue the safe conduct pass. So, when after the meeting, we approached Executive Secretary Bersamin, and he called the ODESCA, was the papers, to already submit it to his office.
Ma'am, nabanggit niyo matumal yung bilang ng mga nag-a-apply na because of yung problems. That's a reason why you have requested for safe conduct passes. How do you think this will impact yung number na mga nag-a-apply once na ma-approve siya?
Actually, this will be very helpful because we can already access this members of the groups that are covered by the proclamations for amnesty, kasi some of them have their warrants of arrest and they are in hiding. They want to apply for amnesty, but they cannot go out of their hiding place because of their fear that they be arrested. So what we were doing then was that we go to where they are and get their application. Sometimes we go, we interview them through online. That is, if they have Wi-Fi signals. If none, so it will be very difficult for us. At yung sinasabi namin na matumal, sa awa ng Diyos, marami na bumilis po ang aming application ngayon because what we do is we go to the communities with the help of the OPAPRU, AFP, and PNP. So they set up what they call the one-stop shop, wherein we bring there our people with all their services, and we accept their applications. And then the Public Attorney's Office is also assisting us and the Prosecutor's Office to administer oath to these applicants. So like we had in Basilan, this was sponsored by the OPAPRU. For one day, we had 127 applicants. In Negros, we have like a total of 67 applicants for the 2 days.
Last question lang po, General Larida. May we know what's our timeline to dismantle yung nahuhuling guerrilla front? And what are the challenges that we're facing right now?
Sa nabagit nga po kanina, ma'am, nasa administrative procedure na lang po yung sa sa declaration yung natirang weekend guerrilla front as dismantled. So itong siguro ma'am kung signatures na lang naman ang kailangan in a month time considered dismantled na po itong remaining weekend guerrilla front. Of course ma'am, yung second question yung tungkol sa challenges, with the weekend structure nila ngayon, napunta na po ang kanilang tactics, napunta na sa small units, and they are constantly evading our troops. So yung talagang hitting them directly with our operating troops medyo very challenging sa ngayon. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Do you have questions from Malacañang Press? Gilbert Perdes, DWIZ.
Magandang hapon po. Siguro kay General Larida na lang siguro. Wala po itong kinalaman sa NTF-ELCAC. Ito po, sa Friday po kasi nakatakda magdiwang po ng kaarawan si dating Pangulong Duterte. At inaasahan po na magkakaroon po ng mga pagkilos yung mga pro-Duterte. Yung gantong usapin po ba, natalakay niyo po ba sa meeting niyo with the President? At anong paghahanda pong ginagawa ng AFP dito?
Ang Armed Forces of the Philippines po is mandated to support the Philippine National Police sa law enforcement operations. So ang reaction po ng AFP is kung ano po ang i-request ng Philippine National Police. Sa other matters po, I might reveal operational and tactical matters already that I have I have no authority to reveal. Yung ibang statement about that, we will defer to the statement of the Department of National Defense, sir. Thank you, sir.
Pwede po pong, may ano po, sa gitna po ng political noise po sa bansa, anong assurance po sa taong bayan, yung AFP, na para manatiling loyal po sa Constitution, yung militar?
Yung ating Chief of Staff po, si General Romeo Bronner Jr., palagi niya pong kinakausap yung ating mga field commanders. At isa lang ang marching orders to remain loyal to the national flag and always perform our task in accordance to the Constitution. Rest assured po that the Armed Forces of the Philippines is one and united in serving our nation. And that is again to perform our mission in accordance to the Constitution. Salamat po. Thank you, sir.
Okay po.
Thank you. Do you have more questions to the members of the NTF-ELCAC? I guess that's it. Thank you very much. Undersecretary Torres, ADG Malaya, Attorney Armamento, and General Larida. At dito na po nagtatapos ang NTF-ELCAC 7th ExeCom Meeting Press Conference. Maraming salamat at maraming salamat Malacañang Press Corps.